Hello, second and third grade families. We hope you're doing well. We want to look at subtraction and talk about a couple different strategies with you. We want to look at image talks. In other words, how to take pictures of images and talk about doubles near doubles, which is a foundational skill for multiplication. And then we also want to talk about, for our families, especially third grade families, thinking about, since multiplication becomes a big part of our third grade curriculum, is thinking about how we want to teach third grade. How we want to teach multiplication in third grade. Sorry about that. Mr. Berteau did a beautiful job of sharing some information. Ms. Goldman shared some information for third grade. And like I said, we just want to give you a general overview of the conversation as a whole to help you support your child at home. Also want to give you an idea, so please look over the overview of the math curriculum, as well as take an opportunity to look at some of the games we shared with you that you can play at home. And there are some of the games that were shared during the workshop. If you have any questions, please reach out and enjoy today's second and third grade parent math workshop overview. We're going to start with some subtraction. So if somebody gave you 38 and you said you take away 29, one of the strategies we talk about with your student is something called keeping a constant difference. The idea of, well, if I add 1 to each number, so that becomes 39, that becomes 30, it makes it just friendlier to work with. So what's 39 minus 30 is 9. Now, mind you, they could just add up from 29 and say 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, which is 9 as well. But that's keeping a constant difference. We also talk about keeping a constant difference in this way. Imagine if a child has 300 and they're subtracting 157. Well, because we don't teach the algorithm in second and third grade yet, it'll be one of the first things we teach in fourth grade because we want to make sure they gain numeracy understanding and number sense is another way to think about it. What if I subtract 1 from each number? So this becomes 299. This becomes 156. So again, 9 minus 6 is 3. 5 minus, so 50 minus 90 minus 50. So it'd be 143. Again, just using keeping constant difference as a possible strategy. Another strategy is, so I want to think about the idea of adding up in chunks. So again, what if somebody gave you 153 M&Ms? You're going to give 78 away to a friend. How many do you have left? Well, adding up in chunks is the idea of saying, well, I'm going to start at 78. I'm going to go to 153. So 78 to 80 is plus 2. 80 to 100 is 20. And then 100 to 153 is 53. So when I come back and add these up, I know that 2 plus 20 plus 53 gives me a total of 75. So I know 153 minus 78 has an answer of 75 because I added up in chunks. And the nice thing about adding up in chunks, again, it's friendly numbers. Some children will go to 80. Other children will go all the way to 100. So I'll add up 22 here before they add on. It's based on where a child's at in their development. But these are two strategies we highly support during our second and third grade subtraction. We also do keeping the idea of place value in negative numbers is another one. So let me show you how that one works. So place value in negative numbers is the idea of saying if we had 352, we're going to take away from that 179. Well, we have 300 plus 50 plus 2. We have 100 plus 70 is 9. Well, if I had 2 and I gave away 9, wouldn't I be at a debt of 7? If I had 50 and I gave away 70, wouldn't I be at a debt of 20? 300 minus 100 is 200. 200 minus 20 is 180. 180 minus 7 gives us an answer of 173. Now, is that the most efficient strategy? No, but place value in negative numbers is, again, it's a neat number sense strategy. Something our second graders will be exposed to later in the year. Our third graders are being exposed to it now. It's the least important strategy for our children. Adding up in chunks and keeping a constant difference has a better connection to their understanding, but this is a great way to add an enrichment level and think about it. Because ultimately with this problem, keeping a constant difference is a more efficient way to do it. So imagine 179 plus 21 gives me 200. 352 plus 21 gives me 373. So when I subtract, I still got my answer for 173. But ideally, in this type of problem, keeping a constant difference would have been a more efficient strategy than place value negative numbers. But again, it's just something I want to show you. I want to show you the idea of taking an image, to having an image talk, and let me show you how that'll look next. Okay, the idea of an image talk is just that, taking an image. So here I've taken an image of golf tees. So the first question you ask is, what do you notice? So maybe they notice that there are 8 white tees. Maybe they notice there's 7 blue tees. Maybe they notice there's a pattern of white tees in terms of the directions they point. Maybe they notice there's a pattern of blue tees as well. Hopefully they're going to notice that there's 8 and 7, so that's a total of 15. What's neat about image talks is ultimately there's multiple correct answers, and there's a great way to create visual pathways for your child in relationship to math. Also builds the foundational skill of doubles near doubles. But I'd highly encourage doing different ones like this, where maybe you put out 9 pennies and 8 pennies. Maybe you do 11 and 11. Maybe you do 8 and 8. I mean, obviously the numbers can vary. It allows for a great entry point, a great conversation. Another thing to build off of this, when you're in the car, think about talking about numbers. And not just because we're adding numbers forward, go to the next level, saying, okay, we're going to subtract. So if I started at 29, I want you to, counting by ones, count backwards to 15. Start there. Then say, okay, let's count forward starting at 32 by 2s. Let's count forward by 5s, counting at 37, or 35, or 40. But things of that nature where you're getting your child visually trying to imagine the number line and thinking about how those numbers work is a great way, just, for 5 minutes here in the car, 5 minutes there. It's a great way to play around with numbers and get them thinking. It's also a great thing to have them do with you, like have them ask you, like, okay, I want you to count backwards by 5 starting at 32. And you're like, okay. Also, it's worth, and sometimes we make an error and we don't mean to, other times it's worth making an error and see if they can catch your error so they can correct you. But hopefully this gives you some ideas of things we're working on. Again, there's going to be some games in there for you to play with your children. And if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.